There are 9 mistakes that smart men often make with women. Not average men, not clueless men, smart men. And the worst part, most don't even realize they're doing it. But you will. Comment never again if you're ready to level up and never repeat these mistakes again. Number 1. Talk too much about yourself. You sit across from her. First date, second date, maybe just texting. She seems interested. She's smiling. She's laughing. So you open up. You talk about your job, your dreams, your childhood trauma, your heartbreak, your spiritual path, your workout routine, your family drama. You think this is how connection is built, through full disclosure, through transparency, through putting your heart on the table so she knows you're not like the other guys. But here's what really happens. The moment you unload your entire story onto her, what you're actually doing is offloading your emotional weight onto someone who hasn't earned the right to carry it. You're transferring the burden of validation from yourself onto her. You're saying, "Look at all this. Please like me despite it," and you don't even know you're doing it. That's the problem. You're not building trust. You're begging for it. You think you're showing depth, but she feels overwhelmed. She doesn't tell you that, though. She just nods and disappears, slowly. She ghosts, or pulls back, or keeps it surface level, and you're left wondering what went wrong. This is what happens when a man lacks emotional discipline. It's not stoic to say everything that passes through your heart. It's not strength to reveal every corner of your pain. That's an emotional spill, not emotional control. You think being an open book makes you different, but it actually makes you just another man who doesn't know how to hold his frame. Every time you share too early, too deep, too often, you chip away at your mystery, and mystery is value. Mystery is gravity. And once you lose that gravity, she floats away, no matter how interesting you think you are. You ever notice how she was obsessed with the guy who barely said much, who was unpredictable, who made her work to understand him? That wasn't an accident, that was nature, that was wiring. When you give her all your cards too early, there's nothing left to chase. And women want to chase. They need to discover you, not be handed the manual. When you control what you reveal, and when you control the energy of the interaction, you don't hide, you manage. You don't fake, you filter. Real power is when you know your whole story and only give her one line. Real strength is when you're dying to share your pain, but you sit with it yourself because it's yours to own. She's not your journal. She's not your mirror. She's not your therapy. She's a guest in your life, not the curator of your emotions. You want to fix this? Start now. Train your silence. Sharpen your self-awareness. Learn to be interesting without bleeding. Be the man who only speaks when it matters, who listens more than he talks, who leaves her wondering, not yawning, and most of all, be the man who values his story enough to reveal it only to those who have shown the character to hold it. Because when she senses that what you say isn't something she just gets, it's something she has to earn, suddenly she leans in. She listens deeper. She invests more. She sees you not just as another man, but as a man worth decoding. And that's where attraction begins, not with your words, but with your restraint. Attraction isn't built in the flood. It's built in the drip, the pause, the presence. That's what makes her stay. That's what makes her chase. And that's what makes you unforgettable. And if you're ready to build that kind of presence, the kind that speaks before you even open your mouth, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint is where you start. This isn't just a book. It's a complete guide, filled with real-world, timeless principles that reshape how you think, how you lead, and how you show up as a man in every relationship you touch. And now, it's finally available in audiobook format. You can listen to this life-changing blueprint while walking, training, driving, letting every word rewire your mindset without even opening a page. No more confusions, just unfiltered clarity. And the best part? Once you grab it, it's yours forever. You'll always have this knowledge in your corner, ready when you are. The link is in the comments. Your future self is waiting. Number 2. Chase her when she pulls away. She was responsive. She used to initiate. She laughed at your jokes. She asked you deep questions. And now, silence, delays, excuses. I've been busy. Sorry, I forgot to reply. She starts to fade, and something in you panics. You feel her slipping through your fingers and you tighten your grip. You double text. You send a long message to clarify your real intentions. You overthink. You stalk her online. You wonder who else she's talking to. And worst of all, you start adjusting your behavior in real time to win her back. That's not effort. That's desperation. That's what happens when a man's sense of worth is tied to female attention. You don't want her. You want your ego back. You want the high she gave you when she was into you. And now that she's cold, you're trying to win back the warmth, not the woman. That's the hard truth. And here's another. The more you chase, the less she wants you, because in her mind, she's already chosen. The moment she pulled back, she was waiting to see how you respond. Not react, respond. Women pull away not just because they lose interest, but because they test your frame. They want to know, will you chase or will you lead? Will you try harder or will you walk away? And when you chase, you show her that you're willing to abandon your path for hers, that you're willing to negotiate your value just to stay in her orbit. That's not leadership, that's weakness. She wants to feel your gravity, not your need. She wants to know that if she disappears, your world doesn't collapse. It gets quieter, more focused, more intentional. You want to be high value, learn to be unbothered, learn to fall back. Not out of anger, not out of game, but out of self-respect. Let her text sit unread for hours, not because you're trying to hurt her, but because you're busy doing things that actually build your value. You're building a business, you're lifting heavy, you're reading, meditating, leading, working, you're living. And the moment she senses that her presence is welcome but not needed, that's when her interest returns. Maybe not always, but often. Because now you're not just a man chasing, you're a man choosing. And women crave being chosen by a man who doesn't need to. So how do you fix this? You build detachment, not numbness, awareness. You remind yourself that no one is worth abandoning your peace. You train yourself to enjoy silence. You build a life that's so rich that when a woman enters it, she feels like she's been invited into something sacred, not rescued from something broken. You set rules. You decide how many unanswered messages warrant your withdrawal. You don't debate. You don't plead. You don't perform. You disappear with grace. You move with poise. Because when you chase, you say, I need you. But when you walk, you say, I'm already whole. You want to flip the power dynamic? Start walking away when things stop being mutual. Not when they get hard, when they get one-sided. Because love is not pain. Love is not confusion. And you don't need to fight to prove your worth. Your worth is in how quickly you stop explaining, stop chasing, and start leading. This is the shift that separates men who repeat cycles from men who build empires. The moment you stop chasing, you begin attracting, not just women, but peace, power, purpose. Because now, you're not looking for completion, you're operating from it. And from that place, everything changes. She changes, life changes, and most of all, you change. Number 3. Try to fix her problems. She's upset. Something's off. She's distant. She starts venting about her job, her ex, her anxiety, her family, her mood swings, her fears, her indecision. And what do? You try to fix it. You give her advice. You analyze her situation. You tell her what she needs to do. You want to show her you care, that you're different, that you're supportive. But deep down, you're not doing it for her. You're doing it to feel needed, to be the solution, to be the man who made her better. You're trying to be her emotional mechanic, but she doesn't want to be fixed. She wants to feel. And when you try to fix her, you fail the most important test a woman ever gives a man, the test of emotional self-control. Because what you don't see is that every time you take responsibility for her chaos, you prove to her that you're willing to abandon your center to stabilize hers. That's not power, that's emotional submission. You step into her drama thinking it's intimacy, but it's entanglement. You feel noble, but you're only making her more dependent, and you weaker. The more you fix, the less she respects you, because now she sees you not as the man who leads, but the man who absorbs. And when a man loses his emotional independence, he becomes easy to manipulate. She knows she can cry, vent, sulk, and you'll drop everything to comfort her. That's not love. That's emotional servitude. You think you're being supportive, but you're just avoiding your own discomfort. You don't know how to sit with her pain without making it your mission, and because of that, you become her crutch. You think helping is leadership. It's not. Leadership is holding space, not solving every issue. It's standing firm while she storms. It's staying quiet when she wants you to react. It's saying, "I'm here, but I won't carry you." And the only way to do that is to train your stillness. You let her process what she needs to without you becoming her emotional dumping ground. If she wants to rant for an hour, you give her presence, not panic. You don't jump in, you don't analyze, you let her own her chaos. You listen with calm, and if it becomes a pattern, you step back, not to punish, but to protect your peace, because your peace isn't negotiable. You are not responsible for the wounds you didn't cause. And if a woman continues to bring emotional instability into your life and expects you to carry it, then she's not looking for a man, she's looking for a parent. And if you step into that role, don't be surprised when she stops being attracted to you. Attraction requires polarity. It requires that you stay rooted while she wavers. It requires that you hold your line, that you say no, that you leave when needed, that you preserve your space like it's sacred, because it is. You want to fix something. Fix your urge to be her savior. Fix your compulsion to rescue. Fix your habit of overgiving, and start focusing on being solid, consistent, self-led. You're not her healer. You're not her repairman. You're not her solution. You're a man. That means you don't fix people. You inspire them to rise on their own. By leading yourself, by living with clarity, by staying in control of your emotional energy. You want to be respected? Then stop trying to save her from herself and start protecting yourself from situations that drain your soul. Number 4. Explain yourself all the time. She asks where you were, and you give her a breakdown of your entire day. She questions your tone, and you clarify what you really meant. She accuses you of being distant, and you type paragraphs defending your position. You think explaining will ease her doubts. You think it will build trust, but it won't. Because every time you over-explain, you're showing her that her perception has power over your truth, that her feelings define your reality, that she holds the keys to your self-image. And in that moment, you're not just explaining, you're negotiating your identity. You're saying, "Please believe I'm good enough. Please understand me." And once you beg to be understood, you've lost the war. A man who respects himself doesn't argue with someone's misperception. He clarifies once, then lets the truth speak for itself. He doesn't fear being misunderstood because he's grounded in who he is. The man who's always explaining is the man who fears disapproval. The man who's always justifying is the man who hasn't made peace with his own choices. You want peace? Stop explaining. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much about preserving your strength. You don't need to answer to every emotional shift. You don't need to defend every decision. You don't need to submit a report every time she's in doubt. That's not communication, it's compliance. And a woman doesn't respect compliance. She respects clarity. She respects silence. She respects when a man speaks once, stands firm, and doesn't flinch when questioned. You think words will fix her insecurity, but they won't. Because her insecurity isn't yours to solve. If she's the type to twist your words, to question your every move, to never trust your intentions, then no amount of explaining will ever be enough. And every time you give in, you teach her that manipulation works. That doubt gets rewarded with more of your energy. That emotional pressure makes you bend. And once she learns that, she'll keep pressing. Not because she's evil, but because you've shown her where the power lies. Take it back, say less, act more. When she asks something passive-aggressive, don't explain, observe. When she pushes, don't panic, hold. When she doubts, don't rush to fix it, watch. Let your actions speak, let your energy speak, let your calm speak. Because that's what makes a man unforgettable, not his explanations, but his unshakable presence. Build the habit of not explaining. Practice being misunderstood. Learn to be silent when they expect a reaction. And you'll find something extraordinary happens. People start respecting you more. Women trust you more. And you start trusting yourself. Because now you're no longer reacting, you're leading. And leadership begins with knowing that your value is not up for debate. It's already decided by you. Number 5, make her your whole world. She becomes your reason, your motivation, your light. You feel like you've finally found the one. So you shift. You cancel your plans. You skip the gym. You neglect your business. You start waiting on her messages. You prioritize her over your brothers, over your habits, over your grind. And in the beginning, she loves the attention. She feels special. She feels adored. But slowly it changes. She grows colder. She seems less impressed, less engaged. You wonder what happened. You start giving more, doing more, trying harder, and still nothing. You think something's wrong with her. But the truth? It's you. You made her the sun in a sky that used to be filled with your own light. You orbit her, and she sees it, she feels it, and it repels her. Because no woman wants to be the center of a man's universe. She wants to join a man who already has one. You made her the mission, and in doing so, you stopped being the man who had purpose. You gave up your path to pursue her. And now, she's bored. Not because she's ungrateful, but because your energy shifted from ambition to obsession. You stopped being the prize and became the pursuer. She fell for the man who had a life, who had boundaries, who had discipline. And now you're just a shadow of that man, waiting for her to validate your every move. That's not love. That's dependence. And dependence destroys attraction. A woman doesn't want to feel like you're everything. She wants to feel like she's part of something greater. If she senses you've abandoned your mission, she'll lose all desire to follow you. You want to fix this? Start today. Build your schedule. Train again. Create again. Connect with your brothers again. Make your time sacred again. Stop texting her all day. Let her miss you. Let her wonder what you're building. Let her feel the absence of your focus. And when you see her, don't pour everything into her. Bring her into your world, but keep your world intact. Share your mission, but stay married to it. Show her your heart, but never lose your spine, because she doesn't want to lead. She wants to be led, and leadership means you don't collapse into her presence. You stay grounded, you stay sharp, you stay busy, not for show, but because your life is bigger than her. And if she's worthy, she'll rise to meet it. If she's not, she'll fade. Either way, you keep building. Either way, you keep going. Because your life isn't measured by how much you gave her. It's measured by how much you built with or without her. And once you live like that, you'll never beg again. You'll never shrink again. You'll never lose yourself again. Because now, you're not chasing love. You're attracting it from overflow, from strength, from direction, from power. Be that man, and everything changes. Number 6, compete with other men. You walk into the room and she's laughing with another man. You see her light up in ways she used to with you. Your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral, and without realizing it, your behavior changes. You speak louder, trying to be noticed. You joke more aggressively, trying to outshine. You step out of your frame and into a performance, chasing the illusion that you need to be better than him to win her back. But this isn't just about her attention. It's about your internal battle with self-worth. When you compete with other men for her attention, you admit to yourself that your value is negotiable, that it depends on how many laughs you get, how much charm you display, how well you perform. You strip yourself of your natural gravity and step into the clown suit, thinking that the loudest man wins. But women don't fall for noise, they fall for power, stillness, presence. She doesn't crave the one who tries the hardest. She's drawn to the one who doesn't try at all because he knows he doesn't have to. You want her to notice you. Then stop performing. Stop adjusting. Stop caring what the other man is doing. Be so locked into your own energy, your own lane, your own life, that she can't help but feel your pull. You want to stand out? Be the one who doesn't flinch when her eyes wander. Be the one who's unaffected. Because the moment you try to beat another man at being desirable, you've already lost. Not to him, to yourself. Real strength is internal. It's silent. It's felt. The man who doesn't try to reclaim her focus is the man who owns himself so deeply that she's forced to question why he's not chasing. She's forced to wonder what he knows that she doesn't. That's the man who wins. Not because he's competing, but because he never agreed to the contest in the first place. Start now. When you see her laughing with another man, observe your response. Breathe through it. Resist the urge to act out. Instead, direct your focus inward. What part of you still seeks external validation? Heal that. Reinforce your foundation so deeply that no interaction shakes your peace. That's when you'll stop competing, because you'll realize you were never in the race. Number 7, ignoring your own standards. There comes a moment in every man's life when he meets a woman so captivating that he starts bending his rules. He overlooks the red flags. He tolerates the disrespect. He compromises on his boundaries. He convinces himself that it's not a big deal, that she'll change, that it's just temporary. But what's really happening is far more dangerous. He's betraying himself. Every time you let something slide that violates your core standards, you fracture your own integrity. You teach yourself that your values are flexible when desire is involved. You send the message to your own subconscious that your boundaries are optional, and she senses it. She might not say it out loud, but she feels it. She feels the weakness, the hesitation, the insecurity that comes with a man who doesn't live by a code. And once she senses that, the respect begins to erode. Not because she's cruel, but because nature doesn't allow anyone to follow a man who doesn't lead himself. You want to lead in your relationship? Start by leading yourself. Set your non-negotiables and make them unbreakable. If you say you won't tolerate disrespect, mean it. If you say honesty is your standard, enforce it. Don't bend for beauty. Don't compromise for comfort. Your standards are your shield. They are what protect your peace, your purpose, and your future. If she violates them and you stay, you're telling her that your values are fake. And if she sees them as fake, she will never see you as real. Stop waiting for her to wake up. Stop hoping she'll rise to meet you. Stand firm. And if she doesn't align, walk away. not to hurt her, but to honor yourself. That's how you build inner power. That's how you become unshakable. When your standards become law, your life changes. People will start treating you differently. Opportunities will find you. Peace will become your default. And most of all, you'll trust yourself again. Because every time you keep your word to you, you become unstoppable. That's the man who wins. The one who doesn't just talk about standards, he lives them. Number 8, giving too much without return. You give her your time, your energy, your attention, your loyalty. You plan dates, you send texts, you compliment her, you support her dreams, you invest deeply. And at first, she seems grateful. She responds, she reciprocates, but then slowly she withdraws. She starts taking longer to reply. She gets irritable. She seems bored. And you think, maybe I need to do more. So you step it up. You give more. You text more. You forgive more. You sacrifice more. But nothing changes. Because the problem isn't that you're not giving enough. It's that you're giving from a place of lack. You're giving to earn, to prove, to secure. You're trading value for validation. And women don't respect that. They may enjoy the benefits, but they won't feel desire. Because desire is born in polarity, in tension, in effort matched with mystery. But you gave it all up front. You gave before anything was earned. And in doing so, you created imbalance. No woman wants to be worshipped by a man she hasn't invested in. It creates guilt, discomfort, and ultimately, rejection. You want to flip this dynamic. Stop giving to be seen. Start giving from overflow. Only give what you can afford to lose. Only give when it aligns with your values, not when it's a strategy to be loved. Learn to pull back, to wait, to observe. When you find yourself doing more while she's doing less, that's your sign. Step back, not to manipulate, but to recalibrate. To remind yourself that love is mutual, that effort is shared, and that your energy is sacred. Stop pouring into empty cups. Save your resources for those who pour back. That's how you build balanced relationships. That's how you maintain attraction. That's how you protect your soul from burnout. Give only what aligns. Withhold what isn't earned, and you'll never feel drained again. Number 9. Letting her set all the rules. She says when you talk. She decides how fast things move. She controls when you see her, how often, what's okay, what's not. You start to feel like a guest in your own relationship. You don't know when it happened, but suddenly you're the one following, adjusting, obeying. You think you're being patient, respectful, a good partner. But really, you've abandoned your leadership. You've handed her the keys and said, "Drive me." And the moment you do that, the energy shifts. She starts losing respect. Not because she's power-hungry, but because she didn't sign up to lead. She signed up to feel safe in your direction. When you let her dictate the terms of the connection, you train her to believe that your role is reactive, not proactive, that your purpose is to make her comfortable, not to move life forward. That's not attractive. That's not masculine. That's not stable. A man who lets a woman set all the rules is a man who's afraid of losing her by saying no. But in truth, you lose her by never saying no. You want to lead? Set the pace. Decide the rhythm. Speak your expectations. Don't wait for her to approve. Act from clarity. And if she pushes back, good. That's the test. Will you fold or will you hold? Will you compromise truth for harmony or will you let her feel your conviction? Women don't fall for men who give them what they want. They fall for men who give them what they need: structure, clarity, groundedness. Be the man who builds the container, who decides what kind of relationship you're available for, who speaks his standards and enforces them. And if she doesn't align, let her go. Because you're not here to live by her rules, you're here to live by your mission. And any woman who joins you is welcome, but not in control. That's how you keep your power. That's how you maintain attraction. That's how you build relationships that last. Not from fear, but from force. Not from obedience, but from leadership. Be that man, and she'll follow, not because she has to, but because she wants to. If you're tired of always doing the most and getting the least, if you're done playing by her rules, explaining yourself, overgiving, shrinking to be chosen, then now is your time. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint isn't just a book. It's the mental reset you've needed your entire life. It's filled with timeless truths that flip the script, sharpen your presence, and give you back control, not just in dating, but in every relationship you enter. And now, it's available as an audiobook, so you can absorb every principle while walking, lifting, driving. No excuses. This is for men who are ready to stop reacting and start leading. It's linked in the comments. Comment "No more games" if you're ready to own your power. Like this video and subscribe to help more men find these truths and save themselves years of pain and regrets. The world doesn't hand respect to men who beg for it. It gives it to those who build themselves into men no one can ignore.